activity that you just went through, you should have noticed that the difference is equal to the degree of the polynomial. So, for example, here is a table, and if you could go ahead and copy down the table that you see right here on your paper. And if you need to pause this at any time, go ahead and pause it. And we should be able to do the differences and try to figure out what type of function this is. And so when we do the differences, we do 46. Well, you guys know how to do this. You just did it on the last activity. And you'll notice that it is not linear because these are all not the same. So we have to go one deeper. And this was the second difference. That's all the same, the second difference. So we know it's a degree 2. A degree 2. And degree 2 functions are called quadratics. We learned that just after Christmas break. So we could do some of the steps that we learned before Christmas break, but there's a little shortcut I want to show you now. Now that we know it's a quadratic, I want us to actually figure out what is the function that matches this pattern right here. And there's a real fast way we can figure that out using something called regression on your calculator. So what you need to do is on your calculator you need to hit the stat button. The stat button. Once you've hit the stat button, you then need to press number 1. And in L1, you need to put the x's, and in L2, you need to put the y's from this table. Okay, so go ahead a second and put those all in. And if you need to pause this, go ahead and pause it until you're done entering those into L1 and L2. Okay? Okay, now that you're done entering those, then you should see them in on your calculator in L1 and L2. And now the next thing you need to do is you need to hit the stat button again. Hit the stat button again. And then you need to hit the right arrow button to go over to where it says calc. So right arrow button. And then you'll see a bunch of stuff that says number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Number 5 is quadratic regression. Number 6 is cubic regression. Number 7 is quartic regression. We said that this was a quadratic because it was a degree 2. So because it was a quadratic, we are going to choose quadratic regression, which is number 5 in our case. So now you're going to press number 5. And now on your calculator, it will say quadratic regression. Now you need to hit the enter button. Hit the enter button. As soon as you've done that, on your screen, you should see this. It will say y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's like the parent function of a quadratic, or that's the standard form of a quadratic. And then underneath it will say a equals 1, b equals 4, c equals 1. And what you do is you just substitute those in. If the a is 1, you put that in right there. If the b is 4, you put that in right there. And if the c is 1, you put that in right there. So the function that goes along with that table is y equals 1x squared plus 4x plus 1. And so not only did we know the degree, but then we used regression to actually get the function that goes with this table. Okay, so we modeled that table with a function. And you can check that yourself by typing that in to y equals and seeing if you do get that table. Okay? So we used quadratic because it was the second degree is when they all ended up being the same. Okay, if you could go ahead then for this example and copy down this table right here. Go ahead and pause this until you have it copied down. Once you've got it copied down, then we need to start doing the differences, and you can go ahead and do those here as soon as you've got them. Why don't you pause this until you have them, and then go ahead and come back and turn it back on. Okay, so you should have gotten, as you do this, the first one's 79, then we have 51, and then we would have 29, and then we would have 13, and then we would have 3. And we need to go, so it's not linear, we know that. So we need to go one deeper here. And when we go one deeper then, this one's 28. And then you should have gotten for this one 22. You should have gotten for this one 16. And you should have gotten for this one 10. So we've got to keep going. And you get 6, 6, 6. This is the first difference. This is the second. It doesn't look like it's the same until we get to the third. So this is a third degree polynomial. And we call third degree polynomials cubics. Cubics. Now that we know it's a cubic, we can get the function by using regression. So we're going to do the same steps again. We're going to go ahead and hit the stat button. Once you hit the stat button, you're going to hit number 1 for edit. And then you are going to do the same thing we did before. You're going to put this into L1 and this into L2. So go ahead and put those in. You can pause this until you have those in, and then as soon as you do, go ahead and start this again. Okay, now that you've got those in, you've got those into L1 and L2, now you should hit the stat button again. And with the stat button again, this time we should arrow over just like we did before to calc. And once we've arrowed over then, this is a cubic. So we need to find cubic regression, which is number 6. Once you've done that, it will say cubic regression on your screen. You need to hit the enter button to get our very last screen here. Okay, now on your calculator, it should look like this. It should say cubic regression. It should say y equals ax to the third plus bx squared plus cx plus d. Then underneath it says a equals 1, b equals 2, c equals 0, and d equals -4. And you need to plug these in to where it says. Okay? Now there's one kind of interesting one, the one that says 0 here. 0 times x is going to be nothing. So this is saying there are no c's. And if there's no c's, we can kind of leave this part then out because there are no c's. So the function that goes along with it should be 1x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4. And that is a cubic function. That function matches that table over there. Okay? Okay, very last one I would like you to try to do is this one right here. Let me slide that up for you. So if you could go ahead and copy this down. Go ahead and pause it until you have it copied down. Once you have it copied down, you go ahead and find the differences. And pause this until you have found the degree where now you know the differences are the same. Okay? As soon as you found that, then play this again. Okay, you should have found that this was a fourth degree polynomial. And we call fourth degree polynomials quartics. So now that we know this is a quartic, we can go ahead and find it by using regression. So you hit stat, you hit 1, and you enter this stuff into L1 and into L2. As soon as you've done that, and it's all entered in, then you need to hit stat again. We are arrowing over to calc, and you will find quartic regression at number 7. Once you see that and press that, then press enter again. And now on your calculator, this is what it should look like. It should say y equals ax to the 4th plus bx to the 3rd plus cx squared plus dx plus e. And then underneath it should say that a is 5, b is 2, c is -2, d should be 5, and e is -8. Then you just plug those in, so your function should be 5x to the 4th plus 2x to the 3rd minus 2x squared plus 5x minus 8. And this is the function that models that table. That's called a quartic function. Okay, now you've seen 3 examples. You've went through those. Now you're ready for the Act 2 activity. The one thing you've got to remember, if it's a second degree, it is a quadratic. A third degree is a quartic. A fourth degree is, I'm sorry, let's do that again. A second degree is a quadratic. A third degree is called a cubic. A fourth degree is called a quartic. And the other one you might see is a first degree. And you should know that that is called linear. So you'll need to have that information to do the Act 2 activity for 7.4.